What happens if you build a life around heading outside every single day, no matter what? I'm Amy Bouchat, and you're listening to the Humans Outside Weekly Outdoor Diary, where I share with you my own insights from heading into nature every single day for at least 20 minutes, no matter the weather. What did I learn, hear, see, and experience this week as I take on the Humans Outside 365 Challenge? Come along for my insights and, yes, my more than occasional fails. This is my real life, after all. Are you ready? Let's go. The wind that gusts through Palmer, Alaska is part of my outdoor origin story, if you will. It was a dark and stormy night. No, just kidding. But it was a gray and blustery day in early June when we pulled into Palmer, Alaska. We had bought a house sight unseen after only a FaceTime tour by our realtor. Now that I think about it, it was a windy day here when she gave us the tour, and when I asked, she noted that it's often windy here. But I wasn't really paying attention to that. By the time we got to Palmer, we'd been on the road for several weeks, driving from Clarksville, Tennessee, with our 2 boys and the dog, with Luke and me in my beloved Volvo station wagon. It felt roomy enough in there for the first week or so, but by the time we hit a June snowstorm in British Columbia and found a series of motels instead of camping like we'd planned, I was over it in a big way. Yet, as we wound our way up the Glen Highway, passing my first ever glacier views and making a beeline for my new hometown, the place of our imaginations, I was wide-eyed and ready for Alaska. Except, of course, I wasn't really ready in so many ways. And on that particular June day, the thing I was not ready for at all was the wind. Just as we had in countless towns on our journey, we pulled into town and found a picnic table where we could eat some PB&J with the kids. We sat down across the street from the Palmer Visitor Center and ate through what felt like a windstorm. It was 55 degrees and the air felt cold, especially compared to what I had been used to down south. I wandered into the visitor center, approached someone sitting behind the counter. "Is it always windy here?" I asked, with, I admit, fear and trepidation as to what the response would be. "That's Palmer," chirped the guy. "The wind comes off the glacier." Now, if you're familiar with glaciers and wind and how all that works, fine, but I was not. And all I knew that wind coming off the glacier sounded really, really bad. What in the world had I gotten myself into? I have since learned that wind coming off the glacier is cold and it is plentiful. It sweeps down the valley, bringing with it fine glacial silt and dust. It is not always present, but when it is, you know it. You can hear the wind picking up as it pushes up the valley and through the trees. And just because it is windy in town, by the way, does not mean it is windy 4 miles away where I live, and vice versa. Wind is not my favorite. When we lived at Fort Campbell, I was introduced to tornadoes, and in a house that was against a large open field, I felt every breath of those winds hitting against the side of the house, scaring the crap out of me. I was glad to be getting away from that. I had no idea that I was trading tornadoes in for glacier wind. Wind moving through the Matanuska-Susitna Valley where we live is just a part of life here, as everyone who lives here well knows and has accepted. If you're going to be here, you have to at least come to peace with the wind. You don't have to love it, but you do have to live with it. And yet, as someone who wants to spend time outside daily, I want to do more than just be at peace with any factor of heading outside. I want to learn to embrace it all, even the parts I don't like. It doesn't have to be my favorite, but not everything can be, right? I just want to find the good in part of every weather, and that includes the wind. I've been nursing a sprained ankle this week, which kept me sitting still when I wanted to be out playing in the cool but sunny and gorgeous March weather. You know that I always say any outdoor time counts for my 20 minutes, but in the winter, it helps to be moving so you stay warm. Since I couldn't be moving and a swollen ankle was keeping me out of the hot tub, my next best option was to bundle up and sit on my porch. Now, sitting on your porch is fine and dandy with a cozy jacket and pants on, but sitting in the wind sounds bad. Which is why, when the wind picked up, I really didn't want to do that. And yet, that's the option I had. So I braced myself and went outside, and I sat on my porch in the wind. As a regular wind avoider, you'll find me on breezy days walking somewhere with a wind break, or on really windy days, heading out for some time in a place where the wind isn't as bad. And because I avoid it, I never stop and watch what it can do. But as I sat on the porch, That's exactly what I did. I felt the wind against my face. I watched as it moved through the trees around my yard. I saw the way it pushed a few leaves across the yard. Above my head, a raven soared and glided in it, rising and falling and hilariously pushing sideways. I heard a tree somewhere in the woods crack against itself as the wind pushed through its late winter naked branches. I caught a scent of snow and leaves. And in the end, I thought, hey, this wasn't so bad. So, the next day I did it again. I'm not going to say that I'm a wind lover now after 2 attempts to fix my attitude, but I am a wind noticer. I hunted for the good a little in the weather I dislike the most, and what do you know? I found it. You can see a photo of me during my outdoor wind time on Humans Outside on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, I want to see your outdoor photos too. Tag them with #HumansOutside365. Until next time, we'll see you out there.